Hello. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Godot Game engine. We're just going to do a kind of a quick overview. I've got a little bit of a project I've started that I'm going to probably remake from the beginning. But I felt I should bring in some stuff just to kind of show you some of the components and let you know how the engine works. So first of all, I'm going to pop open the Godot engine here in a web browser. Bear with me one moment. Let me just put that on screen. And we're going to go to screen and capture, and we'll go to the Godot engine here. And you can see a bunch of different links and things. Download the latest version 4.3. Then the latest news, Dev Snapshot 4.4.3, so it's not quite out yet. So this is the latest, so we go to there. Now there's two different versions. There's the regular one that uses GD script, and then there's the one that uses the .NET. The .NET's there for C# support. Now, if you're going to be using certain plugins from certain vendors, or if you're going to code in C#, you're going to need to grab the .NET engine. But I grabbed the regular one, and I exported it into a folder on my desktop and created a new project. So I'm just going to close that browser down, and you can just go project, and then you can just create a new project here, a new scene, new project, whatever. There is a project picker that opens before this. However, this is the basic interface. So what you've got is you've got your scene, project, debug, editor, help up here. And like many other game engines, you've got your activity area in the middle here. I've got my debugger big. I'll bring it there. That looks a little more like people from Unity or Unreal are used to. You've got kind of your assets over here. You've got your prefabs, but they're called nodes and scenes in Godot here. And you've got your properties of whatever's selected over here. You've got nodes and history here, play, stop, play. Now, what you've got is your basic toolbar and things up here, just like everyone's got. You can navigate between your 2D scene, which I've got a 2D scene, 3D scene, I have no 3D scene, your scripts, I do have a script, and your asset library where you can grab all these plugins and add them to whatever you want to. So we're going to go back here to 3D screen. Now you can add objects called nodes. Godot works really neat in the fact that it's a nested modular design. You have these things called nodes, which are represented by a circle. Specialized nodes have different shapes to them. A plain white node is a generic node. A blue node is a 2D node. A red node is a 3D node, and a green node is a control or a function node. Like it performs something special, like a timer, or sends a signal back and forth between client and engine, or just a signal between a node and another node and another scene. They're used for functionality that way. So what I've got going here is I've built a little bit of a scene just to kind of show you some basics here. So what I've got open is I'll go over to 2D. I have no 3D open. I have a 2D node as identified by the blue circle, and I've got this little square with little arrows on it, which just represents it's a 2D. If I go over to this, it's actually this 2D area. So that's identifying that type of a node. But this is actually a scene, which I could actually close because I don't need it. But I was showing how you can have this as a bounding box. It's got a physics shaped collision shape attached to it, and just this basic sprite, and I've sized it down as a smaller item. So in the main level, it's this full size because I've set it up as a tile set, and it's the full size of the image in there. Now, you could scale things down and build your tile set and do whatever, but I was just laying out a quick and dirty floor for the character to start on with this Celtic theme, just in order to demonstrate some of the principles. So as you can see here, I've got this top level, level 1. And what that is anything in level 1 is been built out. So what I have is I have a character 2D body, I have player collision, I have player avatar, which is a little 2D sprite, which is this animated sprite. Then coming down from the character body, I also have a 2D camera attached, and then a separate, coming down from level 1, I have a tile map. And those are all sitting in this scene. However, what you can do is, because I've saved this scene, I can export this and I can tell it to save branch as scene, and we're going to call it player save. Now we've got another scene down here called the player scene. So what I can do is, as you see, it's automatically converted that now into this scene. This is the little icon for a scene. So I've got a scene in level 1 and I've got a tile map in level 1. And if I wanted to, I can drag this other scene, Celtic floor scene, I can just drag that in here and put that there. And so what I've got happening in that is I've got a collision shape 2D and I've got a floor. So here in my character, you saw that I had the character shape, and a collision shape assigned to the character shape, and then an animated sprite assigned. So this thing here shows they're all linked together. And so now what I've done is in the tile map, if I go to the tile map now, what I've done is I have this image, I have it set up here, and I've set a physics layer. I've come into it, and I've come into here in the tile set. If I click on that, open it up, I can come down here to physics layers. I have one, but I could add an extra physics layer if I wanted to, by adding another one to interact with other things or whatever. But basically you have to add a physics layer to your tile set in order for it to be solid for your player to land on. So now when I hit play, my character is there. Now in order to make him move, so this is with this script here. So I've attached a new script to the character body. Now in Godot, you can't have multiple scripts per items. So what I've got is this character body has a script. Down here, this area 2D, I could assign a script to, and this tile map, I could assign a script to. So for instance, the tile map, I might have a spawner or something that spawns a random location and drops monsters on the tile map, and you've got to work your way through, kill all the monsters, and there might be a timer attached to it, and at X amount of time it doesn't spawn anymore. You complete the level and you move on. Whatever, there's lots of different things you can do, lots of combinations. I was just picking something out of thin air to explain how it worked. Now, that being said, this character body has this sprite attached to it, and if I go, or the script, and if I go over here, sets the velocity, I'm going to turn that down. I'm going to make that only 250. Jump velocity, I'm going to make that 300. Just so he doesn't quite jump so high. And then here it's set, it's pointing to the GUIs, to the UI, which is the GUI interface, left, right. And those are basically just your arrow keys, but you can add more to that. And so in order to add more to that, you go into project settings, then under input map, you can add extra things. And so I've added WSAD keys, like here, right, I've added this right key right here of the D physical button. So I've added added my WSAD. So now when I play it, I can move around with the D and the A, and I can jump. Now I've left that too high, but basically I could jump on that platform if I jump properly. And then if I leave the platform, I just fall to infinity because physics are in play. But that's basically how you set up a scene. There's a lot more to it than that, but it's basically an overview, and you could do almost the same functions in 3D, and there's all sorts of nodes available. So if I want to add a node, I can go to a node. Here's a blank node. Here's a 2D node. There's all sorts of 2D nodes, not just if I take that out. If I take that out, there's all sorts of things. You can add a window, add a viewport, add nodes, add controls. You can add labels. So there's things in here called labels, which are like your graphics for your game screens, your inventory windows, your health bars, things like that, menu bars, panels. There's all sorts of stuff. Control has tons of things available. Node 2D, tons of things available. I'm using the animated sprite for my character walk animation. All sorts of 3D modes available. And then there's animation mixer, animation player, animation trees. And those are where you can switch back and forth between animations for different states. You could build a state machine in a script. I believe there's actually adding a state machine. Multiplayer built in, navigation. There's all sorts of stuff I don't even know how to use here. World environment, that sets the lighting and stuff up. I don't have that in yet. But you'd add that to a top level and it would carry through, and or you would change it in a scene, however you want to do that. But I'm going to cancel. I don't want to add a node. What I do want to do though is in the Celtic floor here, I'm going to move that down a little bit. Move that over here. And then I want to go into it. And I want to go collision shape 2D. I've got the collision shape 2D on. It's a rectangle. And it should just work. Put that below the collision shape 2D, and which is down as the area 2D. In theory, that should work. But if we go back to, if I open up my player, now I've got my player opened as a separate scene. If I go into there and I go to my animation, oh, where am I here? I need to click on player avatar, which is an animated sprite. This is where you can add the different sprites and things in. So I have 4 frames added here. It plays at 5 frames a second. I actually want that to be 4 frames a second. Jump is also 4 frames a second, but I've got it set to 2 frames a second, just so that it's longer. And you can see I've got, from the sprite sheet here, idle. I've got, die, sorry. Just falls backwards onto the ground. Again, 4 frames a second, but 5 frames in it, actually, in that animation. Jump was only 4 frames. Attack is also only 4 frames. So you could set those differently. And how you edit those is I can create a new animation, and I bring this in, open that up, open it, and then this is my sprite sheet. And you can see it's set to 6x4 at 56 pixels. And now this last row is empty. You could change it down to 5x4 by 56 or whatever, and choose whatever you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an idle animation. And I think what I'm going to do is just go frame 1, 2, no, actually I'm going to remove that 2. And I'm just going to leave those 2, add the 2 frames. And I'm going to leave it at 4 per second, so it's just going to loop those over. I've left it on loop. I don't want it to autoplay. And I'm going to call it idle. So now we've got an idle animation that if I hit play, zoom this in. If I hit play, you can see I'm just idling. Stop. I can do 2. And he's just kind of hanging out, doing nothing. Stop. Let's just play 1 per second. There, he's just kind of cash. We'll leave it at 1 per second for him. Okay. So basically, that's it. That's an overview, a very general overview and a demonstration of the Godot game engine. So I hope you liked it. It's a little bit long, I know that, and I had a few things to show, and I really just touched on it. But basically remember that everything in Godot is nested and modular, made up of scenes, nodes, and scripts. And that's it. And you just keep working with those components, build out your game, get better and better. It uses GDScript, which is based on Python language, or for more advanced people, you can use C. There's lots of people that have made full-on applications with this too. There's one guy that made a fake operating system even. But yeah, there's lots of tools out there. Next video is probably going to start by showing you how to do some of this stuff. Even though I just gave you a quick overview of it, I'm going to kind of take you through, and I'm going to build out this platform game. And we'll just say this is kind of part 1 in that series, as well as a game engine overview of the Godot engine. So see you in the next one. Have a great day.